platform where we all can share the challenges which we are facing in our companies, then how we are handling them. So, as the today's topic, it's the agile, the way forward. Definitely, it has the great potential, and look forward to discuss with you all the panels and definitely all the audience.
Umar has joined us. So, Umar, would you like to introduce yourself? I did give a brief introduction about your role in Agile PK and on the advisory board. Is there something else that you would like to add? Oh, Umar, we can't hear you.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Okay. So thank you, Mariam, for inviting me here. My name is Umar Khalid, and I'm working as VP Collaborations in Agile PK, Pakistan Agile Development Society. Previously, I was heading Karachi chapter of Pakistan Agile Development Society. I was founding president, and I'm also the national board member. So this is about Agile PK, and professionally, I am working as head of DevOps in TPS. So this is my brief introduction.
So let's just jump into the topic that we have today. It's like Agile and moving forward with Agile, and where do we see ourselves in the future? So I'd like to ask both of your opinions. Like, what do you see Agile as? Like, I'd start with Naveed. Like, if I had to ask you, what would you define agility as? What does that mean to you?
Yeah, actually, if you ask me personally, it means quite a lot to me because I have seen Agile from different angles, different perspectives. Like I have seen Agile as a practitioner. I've seen companies evolving from the traditional frameworks to Agile frameworks. I have worked as an Agile coach and consultant. So I have seen companies growing through Agile. So it's not about just reading and going through the literature. It's about experiencing, and seeing is believing. So while I have seen companies growing and taking on their challenges of digital transformation, because we are discussing in the light of digital transformation today. So I've seen companies taking the digital transformation route through Agile. So it means quite a lot to me, and I think it is quite relevant, and not only relevant, it is quite important and mandatory element of any digital transformation, whether we talk in the context of any industry, any organization, or even in the larger context for the national digital transformation. So Agile is quite important, being the catalyst for any digital transformation or the continuous innovation that we talk about.
That's good to know. And Naveed, would you like to add your viewpoint on this?
Yeah, I would like to add a little bit different aspect that Agile is not only about the projects, the products, the IT company or non-IT company. Agility starts from the mindset. Mindset, which is the transformation from fixed to growth, or the mindset who is responding to change. Either it's our daily life, either it's our friends, family, or whatever the situation we face on daily basis. If our mind is responding to change, then agility is the top priority of our lives. Yeah.
True. And like, if I add my own perspective, because like I've been in the industry and now I'm an academic, like even day in, day out, we're teaching students to be like agile, just not in the development perspective, but in managing their tasks and like executing their daily activities as well. We want them to just to have that agile mindset, not just linked towards, that sprint or that scrum cycles. So like, as Umar mentioned earlier, like, this is all about digital transformation. So where do you see Agile playing a role in this transformation in Pakistan or internationally or globally?
Yeah, I think I have seen a lot of debate on digital transformation in Pakistan these days, as it has been in globally. But a lot of discussion has been around motivating companies about the digital transformation. I think the motivation is already there. If you talk to any CEO, even any government representative, he or she talks about digital transformation a lot, and everyone wants digital transformation. So where the challenge comes in exactly is not the motivation or convincing them. It's about the execution of that digital transformation. Where the companies or the industries actually are failing is to manage that dynamic environment, that virtual or that uncertain environment that we live in, where the technologies change rapidly, where the competitors change rapidly, market dynamics change rapidly. So that change management actually creates that problem, and that is
Okay.
where exactly the agile comes into play. So if you plan something with predictive planning and with the mindset that welcomes the change, that changes the game altogether. That is a different ball game. Then you are in very then you're in much better position to manage that change and to execute the digital transformation if you are in the agile mindset. That is why we focus more on the agile mindset, and agile being a trait of the company agile rather than
Following certain
introducing
processes.
agile
Yeah.
as a framework
Yeah.
or any methodology directly. So if you start with agile mindset and the agile business agility, then you move on to the agile frameworks and then methods and practices. That takes you in a much better position to execute the digital transformation.
Okay. Naveed, what are your viewpoints?
Yeah, I would like to add two different aspects that
Okay.
already Amar has explained the higher end. So I would like to focus that the companies need to focus on the agile environment and the agile resources, because like we have the roles in agile, and definitely there are few more roles who are indirectly working in agile environment, like agile coaches, and the company management is the main key role. But my point is that we as the company C level executives need to support the resources to make the environment in very ease for the employees, so they can perform. Definitely, if they are performing well, the companies are going in profit and our country is uh, growing. So we need to focus on two main things: the resources and the environment. If environment is very good, people don't want to leave the company, then definitely it's a great achievement for that company. And I know few of the companies in Pakistan, and I have seen many resources working more than a decade or maybe 2 decades. Uh, the other competitors tried to bring that resources, but they said sorry. So it means their company have achieved a very good growth, a very good culture, a very good teams. Yeah,
Like Naveed, if I ask you, like you say, we have to invest in the resources,
yeah.
but like if you go back to like the digital transformation and we go back to linking the growth of the resources with digital transformation, how would you say that they go in sync?
Oh well, it's like the resources are the main key players to do this
Yeah.
digital transformation. They are participating directly or indirectly, but definitely it syncs in like that. If a company is a digital transformation and their staff is not up to mark, then definitely that digital transformation will be flopped. Either it's
Yeah.
within the company or they are service providing on digital transformation to other companies. Definitely, their customers will not be repeated customers.
So, like, all three of us belong from Agile PK, you being the founder of Agile PK, and I being the current chair of the society, and Omar being, the ex-president of the Karachi chapter. How do you think, like, we as a society have facilitated the society, like the Pakistani society, have facilitated the government, have facilitated the growth of Agile in Pakistan since, its beginning?
Oh well, the being a society, what we were doing and we are doing and we have plans. We were doing some sort of awareness of the early years of, and at this stage now, the companies are, you can say that, at a medium level.
Okay.
Definitely, there are companies who are at awareness level, but definitely there are companies who are at around 70 to 80% following agile. There are companies who are following 40 to 50% agile. There are companies who are following agile, but they don't know about the agile norms. So they are doing that sort of activities indirectly. Okay. So what society is doing, society is providing some sort of consultancy, some sort of coaching to the companies who have challenges. Uh, Last no, 2 weeks back, we were in Anglo Karachi, so we have given them a one-day training that how they can achieve agility within their development teams. So the society has plans that now we will be moving towards not only the awareness but focusing on the challenges, focusing on the cultural issues, focusing on the team building issues. Like in if we talk about the Scrum values, there are 5 values, but somehow in our people, uh, I'm sorry to say, but there are very less teams which has the 5 values. So we are planning to develop a program for developing those values. So this sort of things which will definitely add,
Eventually, yeah.
yeah, so add the values to the resources, to the companies, and definitely then that will be reflected to their clients.
Umar, like, we had our annual conference this time in Karachi. It was a huge success. We had so many, people who showed up despite it being COVID, and, we had excellent speakers. As a president, what role do you think that, you played in Karachi for the Karachi community? And as VP Collaborations, where do you see yourself, this society contributing to the growth of Agile?
Okay. So basically, if we look at the background, we started it from the two-dimensional goal that was awareness about awareness and the adoption. Because in early 2000s, we saw that the companies who were trying to adopt Agile, they had different understandings about the Agile, because there were no as such Agile coaches or Agile practitioners or Agile trainers in Pakistan. So that was one problem, that every company, every industry had its own understanding of Agile. And secondly, when some of the trainers came up and tried to explain Agile, then there were some question marks on the relevance of Agile and the applicability of Agile in Pakistan. Like Naveed told about some of the values, like the culture of openness, the self-organization. There were question marks that whether they fit in Pakistani culture or not. Is it something that is being developed, that has been developed in Silicon Valley and not very much applicable in the culture of Pakistan? So there were doubts about Agile, and that was creating hindrance in its adoption. So it is still a challenge, and we are trying to cater that challenge through building a community, through sharing experiences, how each of the companies have overcome those challenges. So when they share their experience as a community, it helps the companies to take lessons from each other and execute Agile in a better way. So that is what we are trying to develop as a society, is to build a community where the people share their experiences and not only motivate each other, but also inspire each other to adopt those values and that mindset of Agile. Apart from that, if we talk about take a look at it from the futuristic point of view, I think we have realized that we need to build the capabilities of the organization through skills development and through trainings program to execute Agile in a better way, because convincing is obviously the first step, and then building their capability for Agile adoption is a different thing. So now we are taking one step further and enabling the companies to adopt Agile in a better way through technical excellence as well as from the cultural point of view.
But like, if I ask, like, I think we had the conference in February. So like from Feb till now, what do you think, changed after the conference? Like, how was the impact of the conference to the society and the community as a whole? And, how does it support the digital transformation, and how does it support the digital growth in Karachi and like the chapter's growth in Karachi? How do you feel? Like, I know you're not the president anymore, but like obviously you're still part of the community. So how do you feel the community has grown having that exposure? Because, we always had the conference in Islamabad, like, we have been leading it since 2014. But this was the first time, we gave Karachi a chance, and it was an excellent turnout. So how do you feel the society grew after that experience?
Yeah, I think it's a long journey, and that was basically a flagship event of Karachi chapter, and that helped us to identify ourselves, to build our recognition in in Karachi, and many companies have approached us how we can help them to build their skills, to certify their people. And a lot of universities have approached us, and I'm already teaching in Karachi University. Now
Yeah.
we are moving towards building those capabilities within the students, so that when they graduate and the next lot comes up, they have much better understanding of the agile. And that's what we were trying to do for so many years. But there were some resistances. There were some of the concerns that we were uh, feeling that it is difficult to address. But through that conference, it became quite easy that we were able to convince them to introduce those courses that can help actually the students. And from the corporate point of view, I think many companies have approached us, and they have also asked for the trainings, and we have already arranged a couple of trainings in the organizations as well. So the conference has built that environment where the companies are actually approaching us instead of we trying to engage the companies ourselves.
Like, Naveed talked about, and you talked about, like, and me as a chair, we have like, we set down that this is our goal for these next 2 years that we want to achieve. And like you mentioned, like, you're collaborating with universities. I represent universities, and the goal of, these 2 years was heavily to collaborate with universities so that, we have the ground level resources prepared with the basic skills of agile, so that, when companies hire them, they don't have to train them again and again with the basic concepts of what agile is. But obviously, agility comes with a mindset, and it's developed over time. It's developed over experience. It depends upon the type of project that you're doing. It depends upon, your clients. So if we go towards, we talked about the future, and like, we said we'll discuss about the future. But where do you see, and this question goes to Naveed, like, you have been with the society since 2014. Where do you see us, in the next 5 years or the next 10 years? What do you think should be like our target that we should achieve as a society, as a national level society that is, providing trainings to all the local companies and collaborating with international companies for conferences and all? Where do you see, like, I know conference was our goal, like, doing an annual conference was one of our goals. Then now we have a regional conference as well. We're collaborating with India, and with MISAB, he's brought in a lot of partners. So where do you see ourselves, in the next 5 years or the next 10 years as a society? And how do you think, we should grow and enroll more people in order to grow our society? And how should we recruit people? What's the vision? In the simple words, like the vision for the, next 10 years, where do you see us?
Okay, I think Amer was interested to say something. Okay. Yes, that's right. That the Agile Conference Pakistan, which is happening every year due to COVID 2020, we didn't that. Yes, that's basically to interact with the local people who are interested to learn Agile, and who are at certain level they are doing Agile. So that event is focused for that. Yes, that's true that we have Agile Regional Marathon, which is for regional countries. Like last year we had from Sri Lanka and India. This time, as per today's update, we have few more speakers from Nepal and Bangladesh too. Okay, which is good.
Very nice, very nice.
So if we talk about the next 5 year and 10 years, what I'm expecting that now the society's movement should be towards the job placements, which we didn't focus on that, but now society should have. It's my thought. Maybe the current executive team have some plans already in their mind. Maybe they have some plans for, let's say, for after 2 years they will be focusing on this. But my point is that we should have some sort of a resource pool. And if a company contact us that, okay, we need a, let's say, agile mindset person having 10 years of experience of this specific domain, so we just filter that resource. Definitely that resource will have some experience. That resource got some trainings, regarding their professionalism or their specific skills which he want to grow. So based on that, the society will be a resource facilitator or resource provider for that specific domain, for that specific skill. This will help our companies to grow in a rapid way, because right now what I feel or what I see, that a companies contact recruiters and then get some sort of CVs. Out of them they select two people, and after 6 months they came to know that the one person is good and the other person is not so far good in their culture. Okay, that's fine. So that all 6 months and before that the recruiting cycle, that all is a waste, right? So maybe the society can fill up that gap to fulfill the resources pool to the companies who are very good in adaptation of agility. This could be one thing. This could be one thing.
Omar, what would you like to add?
Yeah, definitely. As Naveed pointed out, that we'll be expanding our awareness sessions and the conferences, the regional marathons. Obviously, that will magnify, that will expand. Apart from that, being part of the think tank that we internally call as a group of servant leaders, I'm part of that. Being a VP collaborations, we have planned collaborations at multiple levels, like how we can collaborate with government organizations, how we can collaborate with different other societies and communities, how we can collaborate with industries, like with other companies, how we can make them corporate members, how we can entertain individual professionals, and how we can engage the academic institutions and the students from Agile. Because so we are working on it, on the collaboration thing from different perspectives and at different levels. That is one part. And since we since we promote continuous learning, we as a society has learned something very important. The technical excellence is something that is very important apart from the agile mindset. Even if you have the agile mindset, you have the culture, but you don't have the technical competence, you don't have the technical excellence. That also hurts a lot when you go for the agile adoption, and that basically raises question marks that whether the decision to adopt agile was correct or not. So the technical excellence has to be there, and there has been a challenge in the industry regarding the skills development, and that skill set at the engineering level, basically that is helpful in the adoption of the frameworks like Scrum, or that are more self-organizing. So they call for more technical skills, and if we see the technical skills are now evolving, the agile itself has evolved. And there are some emerging technologies like CI/CD, automation, DevOps. We are also moving towards that. If you see our latest programs, you will see the touch of or building those skills that are related to automation, CI/CD, and DevOps, because we know that is the future. Agile is not here to stay as it is. Agile will itself evolve as a concept, as a methodology, or even the frameworks will evolve with the change in technology and the environment. So we have to catch up with that pace, and we have to continuously evolve ourselves to not to be to avoid the obsolescence. So we are working on that thing, that we don't lag behind and we catch up with the pace of the emerging technologies like DevOps, CI/CD, and automation also. So I think that is to complement what Naveed mentioned about the expansion of agile awareness programs and the job placements that he talked about.
Yeah, like adding on to my PhD was also on distributed agile. It was on the evolution of agile. It was on how agile, is supposed to work in a distributed environment, because when agile was formed in 2001, it was having same rooms, having a scrum room, all the team is sitting in one room, and that was the main manifesto, when the agile manifesto was born. But we have seen over a decade that offshoring has become a huge thing, and agile practices need to evolve with all these offshoring techniques. And now we have a newer challenge, because first the challenge was customizing agile practices for the offshore setting, the clients are somewhere else, you're somewhere else, your team is distributed. But now we are in COVID for the past 2 years, and I was also doing a research, like, the Agile Society helped me out as well in that. Was that, how do you think Agile helped, or how did Agile evolve in COVID, in your organization, in your practice? How do you see that, being a developer or being, in a development company or being in a development role or working in a development team? How do you think, did Agile help you in overcoming those challenges that COVID introduced? Or did you have to customize Agile in a way that it aided you? Or was it not of any help? Like, well, what is your experience if you had to compare the role of Agile with COVID in your organization?
So that question is from me or from Naveed?
You can continue and then we can go on with Naveed.
So yeah, I think the COVID thing has been a blessing in disguise, I would say, for the Agile adoption, because the people who were resisting Agile adoption and the Agile culture, they basically had to adopt Agile deliberately or indeliberately, half-heartedly, because when we all went to working virtually, Agile was the only answer. There was no option for micromanagement. There was no option to be monitoring to monitor the employees from their screens or from their activities. So the Agile was the only way out, and that basically helped in the last 2 years for Agile adoption. That is what I have observed. So many of the micromanagers and those who had the traditional mindset, they have also moved to more Agile mindset in the last 2 years after post-COVID. So I think that has been helpful, I would say. So I would also like to get the opinion of Naveed and yours, but that has been my personal observation.
Naveed, over to you.
Okay, so yeah, in fact, I has raised my hand for the last question also. So first I would like to answer that. Yeah, no problem.
Sorry.
Okay, so one thing I missed from the visionary thing, that for the last, I think, 6 to 8 months, we have been partnering with PASHA, the Pakistan Association of Software Houses and Service Industry. And we have been organizing the master class for awareness, and now we have successfully converted that MOU to a training partner company or a platform, whatever we can say. So they have asked us to, whatever the training we have in our roadmap, we need to share that so they can circulate in their companies, and then definitely if the companies need to do that training, then definitely they will be contacting us. So it's, I think, a good start. Because now the companies who are registered with, as a member registered with PASHA, they are also moving towards agility. Okay, the second thing is that the Agile in a COVID era, well, I will say yes, it's a huge success, because the managers or the people who are having somehow a fixed mindset and not interested to listen the word Agile, they definitely, or forcefully, or whatever we can say, they need to shift to their mindset, to Agile mindset. The people who are fixed to the fixed time meetings, like we have stakeholders meeting at 11 a.m. and we need to visit their venue, or the client need to be in our office, but due to COVID, the meetings were online, and not it's only 11 a.m. It could be any time, and it's some sort of the Agile, the main 4 manifesto points already transformed into this COVID lockdown. Yeah, so it helps a lot. And right now, what I came to know yesterday, I was in discussion that in USA and UK, a lot of companies are looking for remote resources, and especially from Pakistan, India, Bangladesh, just because their fixed mindsets moved to growth mindset, and they came to know that, okay, sitting a person in an office is not only the success case. If we hire a person who is sync with our time zone, that is also workable. So a lot of people in my circle are doing remote jobs in UK times, US time, which is a good success for our country. And if we see a few of the portals like Gapper.io, Turing, Crossover, these are also focusing on that thing. So I think agility has played a very vital role in this COVID lockdown and in future of this sort of the workforce.
So like if I did a survey a few months back, and like the Agile Society took part in that. Like the purpose was that to see how were people reacting to COVID, and how did they think like Agile contributed. And likewise, what Umar said and what you said, everyone had a very positive response towards Agile. Like they said, like Agile was that skill set that they needed to have in order to like continue working the way they were working without facing that disconnect, or like that blockage that every other company was facing when it came to COVID, because they were already in sync, they already had stand-up meetings, they already had tools set up, like they already had central repositories in place. So I think uh, with in sync with you and with in sync with Umar, like it's the same thing that that Agile helped in COVID, and that was like the natural thing. Now, if we like, we've talked a lot about Agile, and we talked a lot about, what our goal is, what our mission is, and we talked about COVID, the main highlight of today. If you go back to digital transformation, what do you think are the challenges still? Like, because like, the word is digital transformation, that means we're still in transition. So what do you think are the main challenges that we still have, that we have to answer, despite having all the technology that we have, despite having all the skilled resources we have? What are challenges that you think that we still face in today? And Naveed, you can go ahead and continue.
Okay. Oh, well, the major challenge is still there. That is the resource development or resource skills, because all the digital transformation is focused on that challenges on the skill set. If a resource is skilled, then definitely it will be syncing with the company growth or country growth. If that resource is not that up to mark, have that skill, then definitely it's a big challenge for that company, and definitely it will be reflected to the company. That is the major one, and somehow I have felt that the people for last 5 years are moreover focusing on the multiple things, but not focusing on one thing. Like they are not mastering of one thing; they are having jack of all the things. So I have been interviewed for last 6 months in my company. uh, People has all the things in his CV or her CV, but when we dig into one specific skill set, then somehow it didn't get good success case. So uh, resources should be focused on the skill set. Companies need to provide them or give them the opportunity to learn, and detailing in that specific thing, that could be the one of the biggest challenge, which definitely we need to handle at this stage, and it will be reflected within 5 years, not from tomorrow. That could be one challenge.
Umar, would you like to add from a more
Yeah,
technical perspective?
yeah. I think I would just like to complement what Naveed said. We need to work on the resource development and the skills development, and we've been working on that. Like I already mentioned, we're working with the universities to introduce courses related to Agile. Apart from that, there are a few certifications, a few recognized, internationally recognized certifications for which we have to go outside Pakistan and pass those certifications, and that becomes quite expensive and unaffordable for the individuals at times, and that basically produces the resource gap and the workforce gap related to Agile, because the demand of the industry is much larger than what industry is producing. So we need to work on skills development at multiple levels. We are working on the plans to see how we can take it, how we can make it local, and we can introduce some Pakistan specific certifications. Secondly, there are certain methodologies and frameworks and agile practices that make more sense in the developed world than in Pakistan. So I think we need to work on the unique challenges of Pakistan, and we also need to introduce few success stories of Pakistan. Like if we are uh, if we are studying the case study of Toyota or some Silicon Valley startup, we are not able to relate that much if we talk in the context of any Pakistani company that has implemented agile in a better way. So we can relate in a much better way. So we need to work on more on the Pakistan specific challenges, success stories, and the flavor of agile that fits in Pakistani culture in a better way. So that is, I think, one direction that we need to take on. And lastly, I would talk about the challenge of agile practitioners themselves, like, and the agile coaches themselves. They basically tend to focus more on the agile tools and practices than developing the agile mindset and culture within the organization. And that also creates some problems within the organization because, for instance, if an agile coach moves from one company to another, he tries to bring those tools and practices that he has moved that he has used in company A to company B. If he has worked on Jira, he will
Continue that.
implore or convince the other company to move from TFS to Jira. This basically creates some problems. Instead of focusing on agile mindset and the concepts, we tend to focus more on the tools and practices. So we need to shift from that as well.
Umar, like you've used the word agile mindset like throughout the conversation. Like, what agile mindset would you recommend for digital transformation?
I think for digital transformation, if we talk about some of the key concepts, they need to be more work more in collaboration with their ecosystem, and and most importantly, they need to have the change mindset. Like Naveed said, growth mind. They should have the growth mindset. They need to start with that mindset that we are planning something, but it will be an adaptive planning. So we will adapt with the changes and we will welcome changes. Once we start with that mindset that we will welcome changes, that will, I think, change the whole scenario.
Naveed, would you like to add something to this?
Yeah, again, I have something to say for the last point, that Umair said that the major challenges from the agile coaches perspective, that if they shifted to some other company and they first focus to change the tool. Well, I would like to share just one line, my experience, that there is a company who are not interested to select any paid tool. So I guided them, and they have successfully executed 4 or 5 sprints on Google Sheets, right? So once they
I thought you
have
were going to say Trello.
yeah, no, so once they get the confidence, then they shifted to Trello, definitely, and then they took the paid version of Trello or Jira. Then after that, I have left. So there are companies which we need to less focus on the tools. I agree with Omer. The second thing which we were discussing, that is the continuous learning. Either I am the CEO, I am the CFO, I'm the CMO, or I'm the CTO, or I'm the developer, or I'm whatever sort of I am the person. I should focus on continuous learning. That's the second thing. Somehow it's in less our blood, but we need to focus on that. That will be the key to the digital transformation or agile or growth mindset.
Just to wrap it up, like, CXO gave us this opportunity. Would you like to, say a few words for them?
Yeah, I would like to say special thanks to Mr. Kamal Mansoor and Masroor, sorry, and Zishan Haq from our team. They both had given us this opportunity, and it's really great to share our value here. And I hope this session will be grateful for the audience, and look forward to continuous this sort of efforts. So thank you very much, Kamal Saab. Thumbs up.
Omer?
Yeah, I think I would like to extend my gratitude to Kamal Saab and Zishan Haq, and they're doing a marvelous work, I think, and it's really an exciting and proud moment for me to share stage with some of the giants of the industry, like those who are the part of CXO Global Forum. So they should continue their work. And thanks to Dr. Mariam and Naveed also for coming on this short notice, because we have pulled them at the last moment. So thanks to all of you, and it's been a great experience. Thank you.
Yes, I would like to thank both of you for this session, and that's it from my side. Should we disconnect?
Yeah, thank you very much, guys.
Thank you.
So we will be leaving. Okay, ji. Allah Hafiz.
Thank you. Allah Hafiz.
Thank you. Allah Hafiz.
So dear audience, we'll be taking a 30 minutes short break here. So see you after a short while. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Virginie Debris, the Chief Product Officer at Global Message Services. Please join me at the biggest tech conference in Pakistan, the Global Digital Summit presented by CXO Global Forum as a 5-day online event, which will cover all sectors of Pakistan's IT industry under one roof. Stay tuned for the agenda, which will feature my session details. Looking forward to see you there.
support we are getting, the kind of support we are getting, the kind of the traction we are getting. I think I would prefer to speak in Urdu because I would always love to communicate by native language. अमेजिंग रिस्पॉन्स रहा। मैं माफ़ी चाहता हूँ कि सुबह में किसी वजह से जो है वो हम लोग काफ़ी ज़्यादा इन्वॉल्व थे, वो जागे हैं और हम इसको किसी तरह एक सक्सेसफुल कॉन्फ्रेंस बना चुके हैं जिसमें हम जो है अभी हमें इसको बेहतर बनाने की बहुत ज़्यादा ज़रूरत है। بٹ ہم سب کے لیے لرننگ ہے. جو ایکچولی جو میٹر کرتا ہے وہ یہ ہے کہ ہمارا ایم کیا ہے, ہم کرنا کیا چاہ رہے ہیں. تو اس وجہ سے اگر ہم اس طرف دیکھیں کہ جی ہم نے یہ کانفرنس کس لیے کی ہے اور اس میں ہم اچیو کیا کرنے جا رہے ہیں, تو میرے خیال میں ہمیں اس طرف زیادہ جو ہے وہ ہمیں پوری اپنا فوکس لگانا ہے. دیکھیے CXO گلوبل فورم نے ہمیشہ یہ پلان کیا ہے کہ ہم ایک ایسا پلیٹ فارم بلڈ کر سکیں جہاں پہ پوری دنیا سے وہ لوگ جو کہ گلوبل تھاٹ لیڈرز, ہم ان کا ایک نالج پول بلڈ کر سکیں. انفارچونیٹلی ہم بہت شارٹ اسپین آف ٹائم کے اندر ہم لوگوں نے اتنا بڑا ایک پول ڈیولپ کیا ہے جس کو میں یہ امیجن نہیں کر رہا تھا, بیکاز آج ہم جہاں پہ کھڑے ہیں میں شاید 5 سال بعد یہاں پہ یہ پلان کر رہا تھا کہ ہم یہاں پہ کھڑے ہوں گے. بٹ دا تھنگ از بیکاز گیپ بہت زیادہ بڑا تھا. ہم ہمیشہ انڈسٹری ریکگنیشن اور ان چیزوں پہ بات کرتے ہیں کہ ہمارے پاکستان میں وہ انٹیپڈ انڈسٹریز ہیں جو کہ گرو کر رہی ہیں, بٹ ان کو جو رائٹ پروجیکشن ہے وہ ملنی چاہیے. ہمارے یہ بھی ایک بہت بڑا فوکس ہے. میں فرسٹ ٹائم کسی کانفرنس میں آ کے ڈائریکٹلی بات کر رہا ہوں, تو میری یہ کوشش ہوتی ہے کہ دوسروں کو موقع ملے. میں ہمیشہ امپاورمنٹ کے اوپر جو ہے وہ ترجیح دیتا ہوں, اور اسی وجہ سے ہم نے یہ فورم بلڈ کیا تھا کہ دوسروں کو موقع ملے, دوسرے آ کے بات کریں, نہ کہ یہ کہ ہم لوگ جو ہیں وہ چنے ہوئے چند لوگ جو ہیں وہ ہمیشہ آ کے جو ہے وہ اسٹیک ہولڈنگ کی بات کرتے ہیں. بٹ میں یہ سمجھتا ہوں کہ ہر کسی کے پاس یہ رائٹ ہے. ہمیں نئے آنے والے ٹیلنٹ کو, نئے اسٹارٹ اپس کو, بھی آپ انشاءاللہ آج کل اور یہ 4-5 دن میں آپ دیکھیں گے کہ بہت سارے ایسے اسٹارٹ اپس ہیں جن کو یہ پروجیکشن ملے گی, جن کو یہ اپرچونیٹی ملے گی کہ وہ آ کے اپنے کیس اسٹڈیز اینڈ لانچ پیڈس کو یہاں پہ پریزنٹ کر سکیں. اور میرے خیال میں ہمارے لیے یہ سب سے بڑی ایک جیت ہے جو میں یہ سمجھوں گا کہ ہم ایک بہت بڑی کنٹریبیوشن کر سکیں اور اس میں کامیاب ہوئے ہیں. اور میں اس بات پہ بھی شکریہ ادا کروں گا کہ گورنمنٹ آف پاکستان نے اس بات میں مجھے بہت سپورٹ کیا. ہم نے اس ایونٹ کو ایک سکسیزفل ایونٹ بنایا, منسٹری آف IT سے لے کے اور پریزیڈنٹ آف پاکستان سے لے کے منسٹری آف فارن افیئرز اینڈ دا اسپیشل ٹیکنالوجی زون اتھارٹی. ہمارے عامر ہاشمی صاحب جو ہیں انہوں نے اپنا ٹائم نکالا, عبدالرحیم صاحب نے اپنا ٹائم نکالا, اور انہوں نے ابھی پریویسلی ایک بہت امیزنگ ایک سیشن جو ہے وہ کنڈکٹ کیا. سملرلی اسپیشل ٹیکنالوجی زون اتھارٹی جس طرح کے ایک ہمارے ڈیجیٹل اکانومی کے اندر جو ہے وہ کنٹریبیوٹ کر رہے ہیں کہ ایک ایسا اسپیس بنا رہے ہیں جس میں نئے آنے والے لوگ, گلوبل انڈسٹریز اور لوکل IT کمپنیز جو ہے وہ ایک جگہ پہ ڈیولپ ہو کے اپنے بزنسز کو جو ہے وہ گرو کر سکیں گے. تو میں سب کا شکر گزار ہوں, اسپیشلی سیل سافٹ نے جنہوں نے ہمیں اسپانسر کیا اس ایونٹ کے لیے, ان باکس ٹیکنالوجیز نے اور باقی اسپانسرز نے. میں 1 by 1 شاید اتنے زیادہ نام نہ لے سکوں, بٹ آئی ایم ریئلی تھینکفل ٹو آل دا اسپانسرز اینڈ دا گریٹ سپورٹ وی ہیو گاٹ. تمام پینلسٹ سے اتنی بڑا ایک نمبر ہے جن کا میں 1 by 1 شاید شکریہ ادا نہ کر سکوں, بٹ آئی ایم ریئلی گلیڈ کہ آج مجھے یہ پتہ چل رہا ہے کہ CXO ایک بہت بڑی فیملی بن چکی ہے, اور مجھے سارے ممبرز جو ہیں وہ مجھے اپنے ریلیٹیوز اینڈ بھائی اور بہنیں ہی لگتے ہیں. تو میں سم ٹائمز بہت زیادہ ایکسائٹیڈ ہو جاتا ہوں, اور میں اللہ تعالیٰ کا بہت بہت شکر گزار ہوں کہ اللہ تعالیٰ نے مجھے ایک ایسا بلیسڈ جو ہے وہ اس طرح ایک اپرچونیٹی پرووائڈ کی ہے جس سے جو ہے ہم انشاءاللہ ایک بہت بڑا گلوبل تھنک ٹینک بلڈ کرنے میں انشاءاللہ کامیاب ہوں گے, جہاں پہ ہم پوری یہ کوشش کریں گے کہ کس طرح پاکستان کو ٹیکنالوجی سائڈ پہ جو ہے وہ آگے لے جایا جا سکتا ہے, اور ریئل کنٹریبیوشن کی طرف انشاءاللہ ہم لوگ جو ہے وہ دیکھ سکیں. وہ ریئل IT کمپنیز جو کہ واقعی اتنا کام کر رہی ہیں, بگ کمپنیز, اور انشاءاللہ آپ ابھی پورے ریسٹ آف دا ڈیز جو ہے وہ آپ ابھی بہت اچھا کانٹینٹ جو ہے, بہت اچھی ڈسکشنز, بہت اچھی پریزنٹیشنز آپ کو دیکھنے کو ملیں گی. دیز ور مائی فیو سینٹس, اور میں اگین سب لوگوں کا, تمام اسٹیک ہولڈرس کا بہت زیادہ شکر گزار ہوں, اور تھینک یو سو مچ.
Hi, I'm Virginie Debris, the Chief Product Officer at Global Message Services. Please join me at the biggest tech conference in Pakistan, the Global Digital Summit presented by CXO Global Forum as a 5 days online event, which will cover all sectors of Pakistan's IT industry under one roof. Stay tuned for the agenda, which will feature my session details. Looking forward to see you there.
सपोर्ट भी है भैया कि हम हमारा एम क्या है, हम करना क्या चाह रहे हैं। तो इस वजह से अगर हम उस तरफ देखें कि जी हमने ये कॉन्फ्रेंस किस लिए की है और इसमें हम अचीव क्या करने जा रहे हैं, तो मेरे ख्याल में हमें उस तरफ ज़्यादा जो है वो हमें पूरी अपना फोकस लगाना है। देखिए, CXO ग्लोबल फोरम ने हमेशा ये प्लान किया है कि हम एक ऐसा प्लेटफॉर्म बिल्ड कर सकें जहाँ पे पूरी दुनिया से वो लोग जो कि ग्लोबल थॉट लीडर्स, हम उनका एक नॉलेज पूल बिल्ड कर सकें। अनफॉर्चुनेटली हम बहुत शॉर्ट स्पैन ऑफ टाइम के अंदर हम लोगों ने इतना बड़ा एक पूल डेवलप किया है जिसको मैं ये इमेजिन नहीं कर रहा था, बिकॉज आज हम जहाँ पे खड़े हैं, मैं शायद 5 साल बाद यहाँ पे ये प्लान कर रहा था कि हम यहाँ पे खड़े होंगे। बट द थिंग इज बिकॉज गैप बहुत ज़्यादा बड़ा था। हम हमेशा इंडस्ट्री रिकग्निशन और इन चीज़ों पे बात करते हैं कि हमारे पाकिस्तान में वो अनटैप्ड इंडस्ट्रीज हैं जो कि ग्रो कर रही हैं, बट उनको जो राइट प्रोजेक्शन है वो मिलनी चाहिए। हमारे ये भी एक बहुत बड़ा फोकस है। मैं फर्स्ट टाइम किसी कॉन्फ्रेंस में आके डायरेक्टली बात कर रहा हूँ, तो मेरी ये कोशिश होती है कि दूसरों को मौका मिले। मैं हमेशा एम्पावरमेंट के ऊपर जो है वो तरजीह देता हूँ, और इसी वजह से हमने ये फोरम बिल्ड किया था कि दूसरों को मौका मिले, दूसरे आके बात करें, ना कि ये कि हम लोग जो है वो चुने हुए चंद लोग जो है वो हमेशा आके जो है वो स्टेक होल्डिंग की बात करते हैं। बट मैं ये समझता हूँ कि हर किसी के पास ये राइट है। हमें नए आने वाले टैलेंट को, नए स्टार्टअप्स को भी आप इंशाल्लाह आजकल और ये 4-5 दिन में आप देखेंगे कि बहुत सारे ऐसे स्टार्टअप्स हैं जिनको ये प्रोजेक्शन मिलेगी, जिनको ये अपॉर्चुनिटी मिलेगी कि वो आके अपने केस स्टडीज एंड लॉन्च पैड्स को यहाँ पे प्रेजेंट कर सकें। और मेरे ख्याल में हमारे लिए ये सबसे बड़ी एक जीत है जो मैं ये समझूंगा कि हम एक बहुत बड़ी कंट्रीब्यूशन कर सकें और उसमें कामयाब हुए हैं। और मैं इस बात पे भी शुक्रिया अदा करूंगा कि गवर्नमेंट ऑफ पाकिस्तान ने इस बात में मुझे बहुत सपोर्ट किया। हमने इस इवेंट को एक सक्सेसफुल इवेंट बनाया, मिनिस्ट्री ऑफ IT से लेके और प्रेसिडेंट ऑफ पाकिस्तान से लेके मिनिस्ट्री ऑफ फॉरेन अफेयर्स एंड द स्पेशल टेक्नोलॉजी जोन अथॉरिटी, हमारे आमिर हाशमी साहब जो हैं उन्होंने अपना टाइम निकाला, अब्दुल रहीम साहब ने अपना टाइम निकाला, और उन्होंने अभी प्रीवियसली एक बहुत अमेजिंग एक सेशन जो है वो कंडक्ट किया। सिमिलरली स्पेशल टेक्नोलॉजी जोन अथॉरिटी जिस तरह के एक हमारे डिजिटल इकोनॉमी के अंदर जो है वो कंट्रीब्यूट कर रहे हैं कि एक ऐसा स्पेस बना रहे हैं जिसमें नए आने वाले लोग, ग्लोबल इंडस्ट्रीज और लोकल IT कंपनीज जो है वो एक जगह पे डेवलप होकर अपने बिजनेसेस को जो है वो ग्रो कर सकेंगे। तो मैं सबका शुक्रगुजार हूँ, स्पेशली सेलसॉफ्ट ने जिन्होंने हमें स्पॉन्सर किया इस इवेंट के लिए, इनबॉक्स टेक्नोलॉजीज ने और बाकी स्पॉन्सर्स ने। मैं वन बाय वन शायद इतने ज़्यादा नाम ना ले सकूं, But I'm really thankful to all the sponsors and the great support we have got. तमाम पैनलिस्ट से इतनी बड़ा एक नंबर है जिनका मैं वन बाय वन शायद शुक्रिया अदा ना कर सकूं, बट आई एम रियली ग्लैड कि आज मुझे ये पता चल रहा है कि CXO एक बहुत बड़ी फैमिली बन चुकी है और मुझे सब सारे मेंबर्स जो हैं वो मुझे अपने रिलेटिव्स एंड भाई और बहनें ही लगते हैं। तो मैं समटाइम्स बहुत ज़्यादा एक्साइटेड हो जाता हूँ और मैं अल्लाह ताला का बहुत बहुत शुक्रगुजार हूँ कि अल्लाह ताला ने मुझे एक ऐसा ब्लेस्ड जो है वो इस तरह एक अपॉर्चुनिटी प्रोवाइड की है जिससे जो है हम इंशाल्लाह एक बहुत बड़ा ग्लोबल थिंक टैंक बिल्ड करने में इंशाल्लाह कामयाब होंगे, जहाँ पे हम पूरी ये कोशिश करेंगे कि किस तरह पाकिस्तान को टेक्नोलॉजी साइड पे जो है वो आगे ले जाया जा सकता है और रियल कंट्रीब्यूशन की तरफ इंशाल्लाह हम लोग जो है वो देख सकें, वो रियल IT कंपनीज जो कि वाकई इतना काम कर रही है, द बिग कंपनीज। और इंशाल्लाह आप अभी पूरे इन रेस्ट ऑफ द डेज जो है वो आप अभी बहुत अच्छा कंटेंट जो है, बहुत अच्छी डिस्कशंस, बहुत अच्छी प्रेजेंटेशंस आपको देखने को मिलेंगी। These were my few cents और मैं अगेन सब लोगों का, तमाम स्टेक होल्डर्स का बहुत ज़्यादा शुक्रगुजार हूँ और थैंक यू सो मच।
I must congratulate CXO for organizing a global forum on digitization, on artificial intelligence, on big data and analytics. I believe the world is changing. The world is changing faster than we think. The world needs the ability to analyze data. There is tremendous amount of data throughout the world as well as in Pakistan. It is commonly said that data is the new oil. But for oil to be useful, it had to be out of the wells from underground and into tankers, but then finally into machines of internal combustion or other machines where oil was burnt and it was used. Similarly, when data is the new oil, data needs the ability of software, of human intelligence to be able to analyze that data. Data otherwise is useless. There's millions of bits of data, billions and trillions of bits of data which is existing, and unless it comes into comprehension, unless it comes to at the level of analytics, it is useless. So therefore, the world needs capabilities of analyzing this data through neural networks, for example, through artificial intelligence. And the highways of this data to move, of course, is the cloud, is the broadband connectivity throughout the world as well as in Pakistan. And I think countries like Pakistan, for example, which have tremendous talent and which have a youth bulge, they can service the needs of the world, they can service the needs of Pakistan, and they can service the needs of the world. There's a lot of hope with artificial intelligence and the new tools that can be in science, that can be in pharmacology, that can be in drug creation, that can be in medicine to improve the health, that can be in robotics, that can be in artificial limbs, that can be improving health and longevity of man itself, and also that can help in analyze global warming and to be able to understand what is happening throughout the world. We may be going into a situation where the world is coming to a very dangerous level of carbon dioxide emissions. So the more the information, the more the digitization of communication as well as of the decision makers, like the governments, like the corporates and companies, the more we get involved in being able to analyze the data through different softwares, to different abilities, the more we will be able to provide service to Pakistan itself and to mankind and to the global community. So congratulations for organizing this CXO Global Digital Summit, and I'm sure we'll be looking forward to your deliberations, and we invite a lot of people to Pakistan to invest in education and IT education and IT products. Thank you very much.
KidsLoop, transforming education through data. At KidsLoop, we harness data derived from content and delivery to personalize the learning and experience in an all-in-one platform that minimizes teacher workload and maximizes efficiency. Our journey began by understanding early years content and how children learned. Success with the engagement dynamic resulted in the viral popularity of Badanamu songs with billions of views all across the world. This success allowed us to develop our own ESL and STEM curricula and deepen our content solution. This also led us to create the KidsLoop platform, an all-in-one data-backed ecosystem that links curriculum developers, educators and learners to ensure a personalized and effective educational experience. KidsLoop is emerging as the platform of choice across Asia, currently rolling out to over 3 million users, with a further 25 million in the onboarding pipeline. Countries such as Vietnam and Pakistan are adopting KidsLoop as their platform for early years education, joining multiple organizations all across the world and throughout the K-12 age spectrum. Why is KidsLoop such a strong solution? Because it allows continuous assessment from any content delivery. To expand, we built our platform on the trifecta of content, delivery, and data. Our expertise in creating content helped us to develop a pipeline that enables us to take existing learning materials and create engaging, animated, and interactive lessons. We map these materials and lessons to learning outcomes, and our meta-tagging system gathers data on student engagement and progression. Lessons can be delivered in class, remotely, or as homework. Our 100% proprietary system has been developed from the ground up with safety and security in mind and ensures that every interaction is tracked and analyzed within the platform. Through this tracking and analysis, KidsLoop provides continuous assessment and custom recommendations to improve learning outcomes. We will soon be able to build a model of the learner that will help us to understand the learning process and in turn allow us to transform education by providing a truly adaptive, customized learning experience. We believe that KidsLoop has the potential to transform education, improve learning outcomes, and deliver low-cost learning at scale. KidsLoop is the future of education, and our goal is that in 2022, over 100 million children will be using KidsLoop. KidsLoop is education for tomorrow.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Anza Saqib. I'm the brand and PR manager at KidsLoop. We are one of the biggest AI-based educational technology companies in the world, with our head office located in the UK and over 400 specialist employees working globally and with a footprint of more than 10 countries, 3 million users so far, and about 55 million orders booked. As you could have seen in the video, we're going to be talking about the data part of EdTech and our solution in particular. So who we are and what we do, three things in particular. So content, data, and digitization and delivery. So that's something very important. But what we're going to talk to you about is the artificial intelligence and machine learning capabilities that are built into the portal of KidsLoop. So at KidsLoop, we believe that every child has the right to a better education, an education that is personalized and learns from the individual students to accurately select classes and refine the best way for them to learn and succeed. There's continuous assessment, which is the future of education. And as you're about to discover, we'll describe how the feedback loop in our platform makes KidsLoop so special. We're revolutionizing education by analyzing student interaction with content and deriving key insights about their engagement. So they could be playing a gamified version of drag and drop or learning to trace, and even the movement of their fingers, even the movement of the cursor. And this is going to help record data based on their learning style and learning behaviors. The key strength of KidsLoop is the ability to, one, digitize content to maximize engagement, to deliver that content through synchronous and asynchronous methods. And number three, utilize this data from all these interactions with the content that we have to improve learning outcomes. The result is a bespoke learning path unique, as every student that accelerates their learning is different. Student activities at KidsLoop utilizes a content creation technology called H5Ps. Now that is used to enable the authoring of highly engaging interactive materials that suit multiple learning styles. H5P content allows for a variety of different interactions which target different learning styles and preferences. Now, many of these templates, as you might have seen in the video that was shown to you, focus on tactile interactions, which allow the user to stay engaged by physically interacting with the content. These types of templates, along with those that focus on visual and auditory interactions, are particularly suitable to younger learners in the pre-reading age group. Additionally, a number of templates focus on more cognitive and memory-based development skills that are more linguistic in nature. These allow for a wide array of traditional learning activities such as quizzes, word games, and puzzles. That's the data capture of content. Events are then generated by interactions of every child and sent to our cloud data. Platform events can come in a variety of formats: experience API events, clickstream representations of the face and sample of the sound and speech. For example, following strict pseudonymization and rigorous checks for bias. Our data scientists sitting in the UK and machine learning engineers have access to these events in a curated format that enables some of the analyses and streamlining of our code and model development and maintenance. We can see an example of experience API events containing information about initiation, completion, and scoring of H5P activities that happen while the student interacted with the platform. The user ID, the time, content type, and score are key elements captured in the process from here, as you could have seen in the presentation before. A number of analyses are possible. How it works, just an example of the analyses. The dots that you'd seen earlier in the video represent individual students in a lesson, and the smaller gray dots represented specific content types. So each line connecting the large dots with the small dots indicates an interaction of a child with a specific piece of content, which they are seeing here, which can be translated into meaningful reporting that the teachers can use to identify where help and encouragement is needed. So it's not just different kinds of dashboards for teachers and different kinds of dashboards for parents and students and school owners, but also powerful data that can be used for early detection of learning difficulties and disabilities, and detection of communities of children with the same needs and interests that are going to be coming soon in the future. In the future, we're also working on adaptive review, where you'll be able to get recommendations to make the right content available for the homework of a child and a group of children automatically by skill level. Our unique Smart Match technology will group students by appropriate content and best collaboration experience. All of what you've just seen is just scratching the surface of what we're doing, just like Kids, We're Learning Forever. And why this is important in the Pakistan context. Now, the government of Pakistan has taken a brilliant initiative with the single national curriculum, which focuses on the uniformity of learning and education, giving all students across the board, whether they're studying in public schools or private schools, or even those that are out of school, a fair chance to succeed in life. And how we can do that is with the help of technology. And it's only through technology-based solutions that Pakistan can really improve on their teaching and learning and involving parents in the whole process. Thank you very much for your time. That's all for now. And if you'd like to learn more about who we are and what we do, log on to www.kidsloop.net. Thank you.
So Anza, you have another session lined up. Please, I'm pinning the panelist.
So audience, we move to our next session now, which is the next wave of AI and technology, moderated by Anza Saqib.
Good afternoon, gentlemen.
Good afternoon, how are you?
Very well. Let us also commend CXO Global for taking such a brilliant initiative and putting together a future-ready conference for all our knowledge. I'm going to give a special shout out to Mr. Kamal Masroor and his team for yet again putting together a brilliant summit. And without further ado, let me introduce the panel for today. So we're going to be talking about the next wave of technology and AI. And to give you a whole well-rounded approach and hearing from different stakeholders, we decided to involve 3 key stakeholders. So we've got Mr. Mohammed Jaisir, who's digital government and public sector consulting leader in the MENA region at EY. Then we've got Mr. Syed Ehsan. He's the Deputy CTO at Red Tone Digital Services. And I'm proud to say that we've got Mr. Mohammed Bilal Abbasi. He's the Director IT from the Ministry of Information, Technology and Telecommunication joining us. So we're going to be having a great discussion today with all 3 of you. So my first question is going to be for Mr. Mohammed Bilal Abbasi. So from the perspective of sitting in the government, how do you think technology has changed in the past? Like, what do we see now? We've seen a great shift after the pandemic.
Thank you very much, everyone. I hope I am audible. So first of all, thank you very much for inviting. And I mean, it's just a proud moment for you guys for pulling out such an amazing show. And at the same time, it gives us an opportunity to talk to you all and share that what exactly we have done so far and where do we see that things are going in terms of a digital landscape. If you have recently seen that government has taken up this Digital Pakistan plan, and we see that there are a lot of activities going on. So I'll tell you a couple of important things which we have done in Ministry of IT, which are actually helping this whole digital transformation exercise, and then what our departments are doing and how we are actually motivating the private sector to come up with the solutions which can be adopted, not just in the government side, but towards the citizen side as well. The primary responsibility of Ministry of IT is to come up with the legislation, policies, and regulations which are business friendly, which are supportive to the citizens. So in that scenario, we came up with initially came up with a cybersecurity policy, which was accepted by the cabinet, and then subsequently there are a lot of actions already in progress by different departments of Ministry of Information Technology. At the same time, we feel that there is a dire requirement of a cloud policy, and considering this part, we drafted a policy that is a cloud policy. We shared it with the private sector. We got the feedback and we have finalized that policy. Now, the crux of that policy is that, we have to give the government business to the private sector. Now, we are kind of inviting private sector to come up and set up their CSPs in Pakistan so that we can dish out the government business to those CSPs. We are setting up a cloud office, which is going to facilitate the government departments as well as the CSPs. At the same time, privacy has been an important issue. And we have seen that privacy, the more and more you're going digital, every citizen's data is exposed to different platforms. So there are lots of controllers across the globe, within Pakistan and outside Pakistan. And then there are a lot of processes which are actually processing that data. So what are the rights of the citizens? We have actually, we've managed to draft a bill for that. And subsequently, we put that draft online and we have received feedback from different organizations. And these organizations have actually given the comments that, okay, these are the best practices which needs to be incorporated. We're hoping that this bill will be out of Ministry of IT in 2 weeks. Other than that, we are also working on AI policy and blockchain policy as well. These policies will be ready in almost 2 months' time. Considering this part, these are the policy matters which we have taken up in Ministry of IT, but at the same time, we feel that there are lots of action required on these policies as well. So we have specialized organizations working under us. For example, we see that connectivity is an important part. Without connectivity, we won't be able to actually run the services, whether it's AI or simple transformational services, digital transformational services. We won't be able to do that. So that's why we have an organization called as Universal Services Fund, which is providing these services to unserved and underserved areas as well. They are actually providing the GSM services. At the same time, we have an organization called as National Information Technology Board, which is mandated with the e-governance portfolio. They are the one who are actually going to run the projects for G2C, G2B, and G2G services. Currently in pandemic, you have seen that NCOC has done an amazing work. So the whole NCOC engine was basically being executed by National IT Board and one of our department, NTC, National Telecommunication Corporation. At the same time, if you see the Kamyab Jawan program, that has been digitally enabled by NITB as well. We're also working with PPRA to actually finalizing the project that is related to e-procurement. Now, all the government procurement will be done through an online system. That system that has already been awarded to one of a local company, and the project will be in implementation phase in March 2022. At the same time, if you go to the exports, we feel that there is a lot of demand in the region regarding IT services. Now, we have actually facilitated the private sector through our organization called as Pakistan Software Export Board. And we are not only just facilitating in terms of tax credit regime, but also providing the trainings to the employees of organizations. And we have also planning to, market and brand Pakistan across the globe. This will not only enable the digital ecosystem in Pakistan, but it will actually give a fair share to the local companies in the international arena as well. All in all, there are a lot of progress which has been made in past 2-3 years in terms of policy, in terms of execution of certain projects. And I'm seeing that, due to these all initiatives, there has been a good momentum which we were able to build up. And I think in collaboration with the private sector, we'll be able to actually accelerate this part.
Right. Thank you very much, sir. Now, Mr. Mohammed here, what I would like to know is, can we imagine life without technology? And what would the impact be like? We heard about all these amazing projects that the Ministry of IT has been involved in. Can we really imagine life without technology at this point in time? You need to unmute your mic, please.
First of all,
sir, you need to unmute your mic. I can't hear you.
Can you hear me now?
I can.
Perfect. Just wanted to say first hello to everyone and salam alaikum, and thank you for having me on this really strategic panel discussion. It's a very important topic that is shaping and affecting all of our lives today, and will go continuing over the next years. I think one of the, just to answer, before answering specifically your question, just to sort of put let's say a holistic view on the difference between IT strategy and digital strategy, because we often hear these things being talked about, and I think it's important for all of our audiences and us to realize the difference between the two. And I will use a definition from Gartner to bring this to life rather than my own specific definition. When we think about IT strategy, it is actually a technical answer to a business question. And that question is, how will IT help the business win, or the organization win or operate? When we think about digital strategy, and this by default has to be different from an IT strategy. And the reason I'm bringing this up is because I see, whilst working with many governments around the world, that actually none of them really have digital strategies. They have IT strategies, which they have really looked to call as digital strategies, and is starting to emerge in there, but not really digital strategies. When we talk about digital strategies, this is actually a business answer to a digital question. How should our business or organization evolve to survive and thrive in an increasingly digital world? A different question to be answered altogether. And this comes back to what you were asking about, that when our world around us has become so different, most of the things we do today are starting to happen in the online space. We are starting to do commerce online. Advertising for the first time in history, last year, the advertising budget spent online was more than what it was spent offline. And that's a huge change in our lives. Education, health, you name it. All of them are being disrupted and moving towards either online or where technology is starting to be embedded into that. I mean, you were earlier talking about education and how technology is playing a role in that. So for all of us, there is a real shift towards this new world that we're living in. And unless we start thinking of it from a digital strategy perspective, we will continue to stay behind and not really embrace and be able to harness the real power and value that technology is giving to us. So that's why I wanted to bring up in the beginning, as you asked the question, the difference between the two strategies. Yeah. And if we think about digital, then it's about reimagining how our world operates. And I'll use a very simple example to bring this to home. Conventionally, take passport. We all know about passport, right? As a product. Conventionally, most organizations that I have interacted with will think about digital transformation as this. We have a passport. We need to do an application process. So how can we digitize that application process? How can we make it online? How can we make it easier to be able to apply for a passport? Or in some countries, it may even go one step beyond and say, because we know your date of birth, we know you had a passport before, and we know the passport is expiring in 3 months or 6 months, I don't even need you to apply for it. I'm going to reach out to you as a government and say, hey, Muhammad, your passport is expiring. Would you like me to send you your new passport? And I say yes, and they say verify these things, and it basically moves forward, and we receive our passport in 7 days. So that's the kind of move you can have. So you talk about the access, so the application. Now you receive the application, the ministry or whoever is responsible for doing the processing of that application may use technology, could be RPA, could be AI, could be any other technology to really enhance the way that application process moves faster and can be very quickly processed. So the processing part, technology could play a role. Then comes the third step, which is now do I need to get the passport to the individual? How can I use technology to really make that seamless as possible? And it calls the courier company, for example, that the passport is ready for collection, pick it up and deliver. So it gets delivered. Now you've seen how technology can be used in all of these things. However, I would ask you to take a step back and say, let's think of truly digital strategy. That will start with actually first answering a very fundamental question. Why does passport exist? You will start to think about the reason for why that product exists. And not many countries around the world are thinking in this way. You will come to the conclusion that actually passport exists to enable travel. And now you can start to think about, okay, in the world that I'm living today, with all the power of different technologies, how can I enable travel? And you very quickly come to the conclusion that passport is a product that has passed its sell-by date. It's obsolete now.
Absolutely.
You can enable travel through facial recognition, through biometrics. So it's a different business problem you need to solve for, not looking at digitizing the whole process of how you apply and receive a passport, if you understand what I mean. So that's the way we should be thinking about digital, because it really will change the way how we operate as a government. How do we operate as a business? How do we operate as an individual? I'm sorry.
Thank you very much for that refreshing perspective. Yeah. No, it's given us some food for thought. I'm going to ask Mr. Ehsan Abbas. So what do you think has been the technological achievement that was, according to you, the best that had happened in RPA or artificial intelligence or machine learning?
Okay, so Assalamu alaikum everyone, and thank you for having me today. Okay, so I think if you talk about the technology that some few prominent technology, I think internet is one of the fundamental things that is actually the missing link between different technologies and connecting the world together. So if you talk about AI, cloud, machine learning, it is all happening because now we have something that is connecting different systems. So in my opinion, I think that is one of the biggest thing. The next thing that I also think about is mostly like the interfaces that you interact with the human world. So how do you convert that physical data into digital data, and then you are processing it through different mechanisms. So I think these are the two things that are now very prominent.
Right. Thank you, Mr. Ehsan. From the Ministry of IT, we've got Mr. Mohammed Bilal. And so my question to you is, again, you did mention the amazing work that USF is doing, but a lot of times, since I'm working in this sector in particular, we do face the problem that there is a lot of digital inequality and digital divide. So, case in point, if you want to digitize a school in in a piece of land in the northern areas, you don't even have connectivity there. So how can these children who are literally the future of our country and the future of work in Pakistan come at par with the rest of the world when we don't even have that kind of equality in terms of the internet or digital? I know you're working towards a lot of policies, but my question to you is, where do you see the challenges in the implementation?
I think it's an important question, and regarding digital divide, we've been talking a lot, not just in Pakistan, but on international forums as well. This has been an issue to bring everybody at par. I think that connectivity is an important part because, as you mentioned, you talked about education. I talk about health as well, because telemedicine or e-health is another chapter which needs to be addressed. Similarly, e-agriculture, e-judiciary, e-police. These are the initiatives which cannot be undertaken in the areas where there is no connectivity. So considering this part, there are certain actions which have been taken by the government. First one, I talked about the USF, that this is one organization which is actually helping us in providing broadband services to the unserved and underserved areas. They are also working on fiberization. There is a project where they have to connect all the union councils through the fiber optic. And the plan is that to the education centers, that means schools and universities and the health centers, they have to bring all of them on this fiber optic connection. At the same time, if you talk about GB and Kashmir, we have a dedicated organization that is called a Special Communication Organization, which is providing telecom services. But at the same time, there have been a lot of complaints, and considering that part, ministry, along with PTA and Frequency Allocation Board, we have auctioned the spectrum for the GB and Kashmir as well. And now the private sector will enter into that part, and they'll start providing services over there as well. I totally agree that at this point of time, during the pandemic, we have seen the situation, but I'll just draw a bit of a comparison here between Pakistan and the neighboring countries. Neighboring countries, there was a challenge that they had technology zones. And most of the connectivities provided by them was at the technology zone. So once that COVID came up, this pandemic came up, they all had to go back to their homes and there was no connectivity. So Pakistan was kind of lucky enough that we were able to provide the connectivity to the remote areas. I won't say that connectivity was good, but there was a connectivity. That's why we were able to not only provide services to the schools and universities. I was myself part of that whole program, but we were also able to enable our industry as well through their IP whitelisting projects and rest of the projects. We were able to provide the services to the international community during the pandemic as well.
Right. Sir, just going to add here that a lot of, international companies, especially in the IT telecom sector, in terms of, even data hubs, were interested in investing in Pakistan. We heard a lot of news with the announcement of the STZAs. So could you update us on where that's going at and what we can anticipate, what exciting things we can anticipate in the future? I think Mr. Mohammed Bilal has lost his connection. I'm going to divert the next question to Mr. Mohammed Seer while we wait for Mr. Mohammed Bilal. So, let's talk a little on the lighter note now. So what are going to be some of the most exciting technological advancements that we can think of in Pakistan that we haven't seen yet? What will the future look like, let's say in 2030?
I think one of the very interesting and exciting things that I'm seeing, and I'm predicting it will accelerate further, is the whole digital startup ecosystem. We are seeing a huge amount of interesting new ideas come and exploring different digital business models, which is really what's required. And if you think about this area in a little bit of a focused way, you'll see that the more we get startups and entrepreneurs, what I call digital innovators and entrepreneurs, getting interested in this field, the more and more we'll see a improvement in the way we live, work, play, because they will start to explore this very powerful space of digital, how to look at providing digital education, how to look at providing digital health, how to look at providing digital entertainment. So more and more accessibility will come with this. Now, granted, the challenge we have around digital divide and also the connectivity, whether it's because of connectivity, access, or cost of being able to afford that. So the world today still, overall, 50% is not connected. And if we take Pakistan's example, there's a lot of areas to focus on, whether it is giving more access to women to the digital channels, which today is very low. Even mobile penetration rate, when we look and double click and see who actually has the access, it tends to be much more on the male side, but also the urban areas, not the rural areas. So whilst we will be looking to explore these things, I think we will find some very interesting and unique models emerging that can help to bridge this divide between the rural and the urban places. By default, we always get much more benefits in the urban areas, and the rural areas always get left out when it comes to these kind of advancements. So that's what I'm really excited about, and particularly I want to see how AI will play a role. I see the biggest role in the future coming from the exploration of data, and whether that is for building, the models that we need for making AI more mature, more ethical, etc. But also, IoT is going to play a major role going forward in our lives. So whether we are in an urban or a rural area, this is going to be one of the key technologies to look out for. And I would encourage entrepreneurs or digital innovators to start thinking about how they can leverage this technology for the betterment of all of us, whether it's operating of organizations or whether it is running of our streets, or whether it's about we call about smart cities. The core of smart cities is going to be IoT, AI. Obviously, data is going to be at the center of that.
So you've given us a good perspective on what the fifth industrial revolution will look like. Mr. Mohammed Bilal, you've joined us again. Did you hear my question last time around?
Can you repeat it, please?
Right. So I want you to sum up is what are some of the initiatives that the Ministry of IT is taking to encourage more investment in the digital landscape from international firms, because we heard a lot of news when the STZAs were launched. So what are we doing to encourage more edtech firms, fintech firms, and so on and so forth?
So there are multiple initiatives which are actually which will encourage private sector to do investments in Pakistan. So for example, when you talk about the initiative which we have taken regarding STZA, we are actually providing a zone to the international community where they'll have the tax relief, where they'll have a land developed, and they can come and invest and run their businesses. And the opportunities they have is that they can take back their money, they can get the tax exemptions, and at the same time they'll get the regulatory support in Pakistan, which will provide them ease of doing business. And of course, when all these things will be available to them, it will make them more competitive in the market, because the labor in Pakistan is relatively cheaper than our neighboring countries. So this is one initiative which will encourage the private sector to come and invest in Pakistan. At the same time, if you look at our cloud policy, that cloud policy is again attracting the investors to come and invest in Pakistan, because we are dishing out almost most of the data of the government to the private sector. So that means there is a good business case for the private sector to come and invest in Pakistan in CSP's cloud services. At the same time, if you look at the our privacy bill, there are a lot of opportunities to the social media companies, because right now it is always difficult to talk to them and ask them to come and kind of invest in Pakistan. So that's why this bill will kind of help them to not only come and invest in Pakistan, but also to protect the rights of the citizens of Pakistan. So these are the multiple initiatives which we have taken up. Recently, you have seen that there is an exponential growth in IT exports. Pakistan has seen a 47.4% growth last year. And this year, the trends
are encouraging numbers indeed.
Yeah. So if you'll see that we are targeting around 70% growth this year. And this can only be possible when we'll have a good collaboration with the international firms. And we have seen that lots of organizations, be it Amazon, be it Google, IBM, and the rest of the organization, they are actually trying to set up their businesses in Pakistan. IBM already has set up their business in Pakistan. They want to expand it even further. So the regulatory regimes, we have eased them up for the private sector. This is an encouraging sign that we want to do business with the international community, and we are encouraging them to come to Pakistan, put Pakistan into your priority list, and we'll definitely facilitate your businesses. And eventually, this is going to be a win-win situation for all of us.
Right. Thank you very much, sir. Mr. Ehsan Abbas. So, why do you think businesses these days are focusing on a product-based strategy?
Okay, so before answering this question, I'll just go back to what both gentlemen were talking about, like, you know, the rural areas with the coverage. So I would see after the pandemic, I think even Pakistan has accelerated its growth and, you know, the technology. I can see that now people are coming in Pakistan with an investment, with more options in technology, even in AI and even in cloud. For example, we recently announced a partnership with OneWeb, which is a low Earth orbit satellite, and we are targeting that to see live in first quarter of the next year, coming year. So that is something that you will see that we are starting to solve the problems that we are having right now in Pakistan. So once you are getting the connectivity to these places, then you will be building up all your services and products on top of that. Similarly, when Mr. Bilal was talking about the cloud policy, so people are coming in Pakistan for cloud. They have been working for a long time. Now they are, you know, rapidly building up their services. We were just working with PSAB on the cloud. So I can see a lot of companies now coming with their own local clouds as well as international clouds within Pakistan, offering Google and Amazon. So this is where we see now the challenge that even the government has is the privacy. So how do you give them a balance between automated technology and while keeping and maintaining their privacy? On top of that, you can see now we are working on, you know, the security, the SSL certificates, and the tunnel. But you are also hearing about, when you're talking about the fifth wave, then you have a answer of we are also working on quantum computers, right? So what happens when the quantum computers will be in? Your security keys that are using you are currently using, they are just going to be obsolete, because that kind of a supercomputer is actually going to decrypt all the data very quickly. So there will be more challenges with that technology, and you will be using more complex method of securing your data and your privacy. So this is like a continuous problem.
Absolutely, it's very interesting that you mentioned quantum
Now, coming
computers.
back to the question
Right.
about the product, I would say that it's more like a business problem, because when you are focusing on one product, then you, if you talk about in a private sector's perspective, so it has a limited pool of resources, and they have to decide how do they invest in a particular product, or maybe a lot of products. So I think the best way is always to work on one product and perfect it, instead of exhausting your resources in different domains and getting a multiple half-cooked products. So I think that is one of the key factors. And similarly, if you think the companies that are actually working with certain products in AI, they are at a better technology level instead of the companies that are doing everything.
Right. So thank you. And I was just going to mention one thing, since you mentioned quantum computing. How far is quantum internet?
I hope we can see it one day, and I'm sure we are not raising Terminators.
Right. Thank you. I was reading this report the other day. It said 13 years is what's predicted. So it will take exciting times indeed. Thank you very much. And Mr. Mohammed Sir, unfortunately, we're running out of time, and I would like to hear your final few comments on today's discussion.
Yeah, just a couple of things to keep in mind. I think Pakistan is at a very interesting stage in its growth towards leveraging digital technologies. It will continue to require the supply side to be managed well. So how do we make sure that we create the future thinkers, digital entrepreneurs and innovators continuously? And how do we make sure that we are not just going to anchor ourselves on the here and now? Because you just mentioned a couple of things, which is futuristic technologies. And generally, those countries which have been exponential in their growth have been working on three horizons. They've been working on the here and now. Okay, we need, for example, AI now. So we need to build capability from our supply side, and we need to also invest in those spaces because this here and now is happening. But they're also looking at what's next. Next is something like the 10 to 15 years horizon you talk about. So they are investing, and this is where the role of governments come in quite particularly. How do you stimulate the futuristic thinking, the R&D around the next kind of things? And the universities in particular, how do you build some of these capabilities and people that come out from the supply side with this knowledge? But the most important is the beyond. What is it that's going to happen in the next 25, 30, 50 years? Are we investing any time thinking about that? How are we going to take a leapfrog and build capability in a space that nobody has today? So it gives us a strategic advantage. That's the kind of thing that we should be thinking about as companies and particularly as governments. How do we create the environment that it does, yes, support the today and give much more startups opportunities or entrepreneurs or digital innovators, but how do we go to the next and beyond so that we can shift, particularly Pakistan, from what I call a commoditized model of innovation. So we do very little innovation. We are much more commoditized. The world is requiring a demand. Okay, we can fulfill that demand because we have one of the biggest tech engineering populations in the world. But how can we move from this kind of just producers of things, coders of things, towards innovators? That requires a much, much different way of thinking and strategizing, moving towards organizations that create the enabling environment for the futuristic technologies. We all know that there's going to be disruption in every potential industry. Should we not be thinking about how we can be the disruptor rather than the one who is being disrupted?
Brilliant words, sir. Thank you very much. Mr. Mohammed Bilal.
So I'll completely agree to what Mohammed said. You know, there are two important aspects which needs to be catered for. One, that if you're transforming government organizations, then I think basic technologies are simple enough to be implemented, and you can see the digital transformation. But at the same time, is this all which we want? I think we need it beyond that. So if you look at our startup ecosystem, we have from the government side invested a lot into that, and we are running those startup ecosystem in collaboration with the private sector. And the idea is exactly what Mohammed has said, that the futuristic technologies needs to be tapped. In every field, you see that knowledge layer is very thin. We need to expand that. If you look at agriculture or judiciary, or even our manufacturing, knowledge layer is very small. You need to expand it. And by expanding mean you need to bring the disruption into it. And that's where these startups, these fresh ideas, these new ideas will jump in. And that's why we support them. We encourage them. We invest in those ideas. We have a dedicated organization that is called as Ignite. And the purpose of that organization is to actually provide the seed funding to these new ideas, provide the seed funding to the startup ecosystem, and we want to come up. We want to invest in the research and R&D. We are also encouraging the private sector to set up their R&D centers in Pakistan, and the purpose is that we have a youth. You see, Pakistan is a population which is around 70% of its population is below 35 years of age. And it's a huge potential. And if we look at these numbers, and if we can use these people, we are producing around 30,000 graduates, IT graduates every year. If we can use these graduates into that startup ecosystem, we see that there is a lot of potential. They can come up with lots of ideas, lots of technology interventions, which can be not only beneficial to Pakistan, but the rest of the community, international community as well. Anza, you're mute.
Thank you very much, gentlemen. With that, we're going to end the panel discussion for today. Thank you very much for your time. And my takeaway from all of this is just the fact that whether it's the private sector, whether it's the governments that are involved, the next wave of technology and AI is here, and it's now. We just need to focus on a couple of things from what the gentleman said. Is it ethical? Is it safe? Is it scalable? And will it be sustainable? So thank you for your time. Keep watching. And that's all for now. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I must congratulate CXO for organizing a global forum on digitization, on artificial intelligence, on big data and analytics. I believe the world is changing. The world is changing faster than we think. The world needs the ability to analyze data. There is tremendous amount of data throughout the world, as well as in Pakistan. It is commonly said that data is the new oil, but for oil to be useful, it had to be out of the wells from underground and into tankers, but then finally into machines of internal combustion or other machines where oil was burnt and it was used. Similarly, when data is the new oil, data needs the ability of software, of human intelligence to be able to analyze that data. Data otherwise is useless. There's millions of bits of data, billions and trillions of bits of data which is existing, and unless it comes into comprehension, unless it comes to at the level of analytics, it is useless. So therefore, the world needs capabilities of analyzing this data through neural networks, for example, through artificial intelligence. And the highways of this data to move, of course, is the cloud, is the broadband connectivity throughout the world as well as in Pakistan. And I think countries like Pakistan, for example, which have tremendous talent and which have a youth bulge, they can service the needs of the world, they can service the needs of Pakistan, and they can service the needs of the world. There's a lot of hope with artificial intelligence and the new tools that can be in science, that can be in pharmacology, that can be in drug creation, that can be in medicine to improve the health, that can be in robotics, that can be in artificial limbs, that can be improving health and longevity of man itself, and also that can help in analyze global warming and to be able to understand what is happening throughout the world. We may be going into a situation where the world is coming to a very dangerous level of carbon dioxide emissions. So the more the information, the more the digitization of communication as well as of the decision makers, like the governments, like the corporates and companies, the more we get involved in being able to analyze the data through different softwares, through different abilities, the more we will be able to provide service to Pakistan itself and to mankind and to the global community. So congratulations for organizing this CXO Global Digital Summit, and I'm sure we'll be looking forward to your deliberations, and we invite a lot of people to Pakistan to invest in education and IT education and IT products. Thank you very much.
Support we are getting, the kind of जो मैटर पूरी अपना फोकस लगाना है करा रहे हैं, तो मेरे ख्याल में हमें उस तरफ ज़्यादा जो है वो हमें पूरी अपना फोकस लगाना है. देखिए, CXO ग्लोबल फोरम ने हमेशा ये प्लान किया है कि हम एक ऐसा प्लेटफॉर्म बिल्ड कर सकें जहाँ पे पूरी दुनिया से वो लोग जो कि ग्लोबल थॉट लीडर्स, हम उनका एक नॉलेज पूल बिल्ड कर सकें. अनफॉर्चुनेटली हम बहुत शॉर्ट स्पैन ऑफ टाइम के अंदर हम लोगों ने इतना बड़ा एक पूल डेवलप किया है जिसको मैं ये इमेजिन नहीं कर रहा था, बिकॉज आज हम जहाँ पे खड़े हैं, मैं शायद 5 साल बाद यहाँ पे ये प्लान कर रहा था कि हम यहाँ पे खड़े होंगे. बट द थिंग इज, बिकॉज गैप बहुत ज़्यादा बड़ा था. हम हमेशा इंडस्ट्री रिकग्निशन और इन चीज़ों पे बात करते हैं कि हमारे पाकिस्तान में वो अनटैप्ड इंडस्ट्रीज हैं जो कि ग्रो कर रही हैं, बट उनको जो राइट प्रोजेक्शन है वो मिलनी चाहिए. हमारे ये भी एक बहुत बड़ा फोकस है. मैं फर्स्ट टाइम किसी कॉन्फ्रेंस में आके डायरेक्टली बात कर रहा हूँ, तो मेरी ये कोशिश होती है कि दूसरों को मौका मिले. मैं हमेशा एम्पावरमेंट के ऊपर जो है वो तरजीह देता हूँ, और इसी वजह से हमने ये फोरम बिल्ड किया था कि दूसरों को मौका मिले, दूसरे आके बात करें, ना कि ये कि हम लोग जो है वो चुने हुए चंद लोग जो है वो हमेशा आके जो है वो स्टेक होल्डिंग की बात करते हैं. बट मैं ये समझता हूँ कि हर किसी के पास ये राइट है. हमें नए आने वाले टैलेंट को, नए स्टार्टअप्स को भी आप इंशाल्लाह आजकल और ये 4-5 दिन में आप देखेंगे कि बहुत सारे ऐसे स्टार्टअप्स हैं जिनको ये प्रोजेक्शन मिलेगी, जिनको ये अपॉर्चुनिटी मिलेगी कि वो आके अपने केस स्टडीज एंड लॉन्च पैड्स को यहाँ पे پریزنٹ کر سکیں. اور میرے خیال میں ہمارے لیے یہ سب سے بڑی ایک جیت ہے جو میں یہ سمجھوں گا کہ ہم ایک بہت بڑی کنٹریبیوشن کر سکیں اور اس میں کامیاب ہوئے ہیں. اور میں اس بات پہ بھی شکریہ ادا کروں گا کہ گورنمنٹ آف پاکستان نے اس بات میں مجھے بہت سپورٹ کیا. ہم نے اس ایونٹ کو ایک سکسیزفل ایونٹ بنایا, منسٹری آف آئی ٹی سے لے کے اور پریزیڈنٹ آف پاکستان سے لے کے منسٹری آف فارن افیئرز اینڈ دا اسپیشل ٹیکنالوجی زون اتھارٹی. ہمارے عامر ہاشمی صاحب جو ہیں انہوں نے اپنا ٹائم نکالا, عبدالرحیم صاحب نے اپنا ٹائم نکالا, اور انہوں نے ابھی پریویسلی ایک بہت امیزنگ ایک سیشن جو ہے وہ کنڈکٹ کیا. سملرلی اسپیشل ٹیکنالوجی زون اتھارٹی جس طرح کہ ایک ہمارے ڈیجیٹل اکانومی کے اندر جو ہے وہ کنٹریبیوٹ کر رہے ہیں کہ ایک ایسا اسپیس بنا رہے ہیں جس میں نئے آنے والے لوگ, گلوبل انڈسٹریز اور لوکل آئی ٹی کمپنیز جو ہے وہ ایک جگہ پہ ڈیولپ ہو کے اپنے بزنسز کو جو ہے وہ گرو کر سکیں گے. تو میں سب کا شکر گزار ہوں, اسپیشلی سیل سافٹ نے جنہوں نے ہمیں اسپانسر کیا اس ایونٹ کے لیے, ان باکس ٹیکنالوجیز نے اور باقی اسپانسرز نے. میں ون بائی ون شاید اتنے زیادہ نام نہ لے سکوں, بٹ آئی ایم ریئلی تھینکفل ٹو آل دا اسپانسرز اینڈ دا گریٹ سپورٹ وی ہیو گاٹ. تمام پینلسٹ سے اتنی بڑا ایک نمبر ہے جن کا میں ون بائی ون شاید شکریہ ادا نہ کر سکوں, بٹ آئی ایم ریئلی گلیڈ کہ آج مجھے یہ پتہ چل رہا ہے کہ CXO ایک بہت بڑی فیملی بن چکی ہے, اور مجھے سارے ممبرز جو ہیں وہ مجھے اپنے ریلیٹیوز اینڈ بھائی اور بہنیں ہی لگتے ہیں. تو میں سم ٹائمز بہت زیادہ ایکسائٹیڈ ہو جاتا ہوں, اور میں اللہ تعالیٰ کا بہت بہت شکر گزار ہوں کہ اللہ تعالیٰ نے مجھے ایک ایسا بلیسڈ جو ہے وہ اس طرح ایک اپرچونٹی پرووائڈ کی ہے جس سے جو ہے ہم انشاءاللہ ایک بہت بڑا گلوبل تھنک ٹینک بلڈ کرنے میں انشاءاللہ کامیاب ہوں گے, جہاں پہ ہم پوری یہ کوشش کریں گے کہ کس طرح پاکستان کو ٹیکنالوجی سائڈ پہ جو ہے وہ آگے لے جایا جا سکتا ہے, اور ریئل کنٹریبیوشن کی طرف انشاءاللہ ہم لوگ جو ہے وہ دیکھ سکیں. وہ ریئل آئی ٹی کمپنیز جو کہ واقعی اتنا کام کر رہی ہیں, بگ کمپنیز, اور انشاءاللہ آپ ابھی پورے ریسٹ آف دا ڈیز جو ہے وہ آپ ابھی بہت اچھا کانٹینٹ جو ہے, بہت اچھی ڈسکشنز, بہت اچھی پریزنٹیشنز آپ کو دیکھنے کو ملیں گی. دیز ور مائی فیو سینٹس, اور میں اگین سب لوگوں کا, تمام اسٹیک ہولڈرس کا بہت زیادہ شکر گزار ہوں, اور تھینک یو سو مچ.
I must congratulate
support we are getting, the kind of जिसको मैं ये टूल बिल्ड कर सकें. Unfortunately, पूरी दुनिया से वो लोग जो कि they are the global thought leaders, हम उनका एक knowledge pool build कर सकें. Unfortunately, हम बहुत short span of time के अंदर हम लोगों ने इतना बड़ा एक pool develop किया है जिसको मैं ये इमेजिन नहीं कर रहा था, बिकॉज आज हम जहाँ पे खड़े हैं मैं शायद 5 साल बाद यहाँ पे ये प्लान कर रहा था कि हम यहाँ पे खड़े होंगे. बट द थिंग इज बिकॉज गैप बहुत ज़्यादा बड़ा था. हम हमेशा इंडस्ट्री रिकग्निशन और इन चीज़ों पे बात करते हैं कि हमारे पाकिस्तान में वो अनटैप्ड इंडस्ट्रीज हैं जो कि ग्रो कर रही हैं, बट उनको जो राइट प्रोजेक्शन है वो मिलनी चाहिए. हमारे ये भी एक बहुत बड़ा फोकस है. मैं फर्स्ट टाइम किसी कॉन्फ्रेंस में आके डायरेक्टली बात कर रहा हूँ, तो मेरी ये कोशिश होती है कि दूसरों को मौका मिले. मैं हमेशा एम्पावरमेंट के ऊपर जो है वो तरजीह देता हूँ, और इसी वजह से हमने ये फोरम बिल्ड किया था कि दूसरों को मौका मिले, दूसरे आके बात करें, ना कि ये कि हम लोग जो है वो चुने हुए चंद लोग जो है वो हमेशा आके जो है वो स्टेक होल्डिंग की बात करते हैं. बट मैं ये समझता हूँ कि हर किसी के पास ये राइट है. हमें नए आने वाले टैलेंट को, नए स्टार्टअप्स को भी आप इंशाल्लाह आजकल और ये 4-5 दिन में आप देखेंगे कि बहुत सारे ऐसे स्टार्टअप्स हैं जिनको ये प्रोजेक्शन मिलेगी, जिनको ये अपॉर्चुनिटी मिलेगी कि वो आके अपने केस स्टडीज एंड लॉन्च पैड्स को यहाँ पे प्रेजेंट कर सकें. और मेरे ख्याल में हमारे लिए ये सबसे बड़ी एक जीत है जो मैं ये समझूंगा कि हम एक बहुत बड़ी कंट्रीब्यूशन कर सकें और उसमें कामयाब हुए हैं. और मैं इस बात पे भी शुक्रिया अदा करूंगा कि गवर्नमेंट ऑफ पाकिस्तान ने इस बात में मुझे बहुत सपोर्ट किया. हमने इस इवेंट को एक सक्सेसफुल इवेंट बनाया, मिनिस्ट्री ऑफ आईटी से लेके और प्रेसिडेंट ऑफ पाकिस्तान से लेके मिनिस्ट्री ऑफ फॉरेन अफेयर्स एंड द स्पेशल टेक्नोलॉजी जोन अथॉरिटी. हमारे आमिर हाशमी साहब जो हैं उन्होंने अपना टाइम निकाला, अब्दुल रहीम साहब ने अपना टाइम निकाला, और उन्होंने अभी प्रीवियसली एक बहुत अमेजिंग एक सेशन जो है वो कंडक्ट किया. सिमिलरली स्पेशल टेक्नोलॉजी जोन अथॉरिटी जिस तरह के एक हमारे डिजिटल इकोनॉमी के अंदर जो है वो कंट्रीब्यूट कर रहे हैं कि एक ऐसा स्पेस बना रहे हैं जिसमें नए आने वाले लोग, ग्लोबल इंडस्ट्रीज और लोकल आईटी कंपनीज जो है वो एक जगह पे डेवलप होकर अपने बिजनेसेस को जो है वो ग्रो कर सकेंगे. तो मैं सबका शुक्रगुजार हूँ, स्पेशली सेलसॉफ्ट ने जिन्होंने हमें स्पॉन्सर किया इस इवेंट के लिए, इनबॉक्स टेक्नोलॉजीज ने और बाकी स्पॉन्सर्स ने. मैं वन बाय वन शायद इतने ज़्यादा नाम ना ले सकूं, बट आई एम रियली थैंकफुल टू ऑल द स्पॉन्सर्स एंड द ग्रेट सपोर्ट वी हैव गॉट. तमाम पैनलिस्ट से इतनी बड़ा एक नंबर है जिनका मैं वन बाय वन शायद शुक्रिया अदा ना कर सकूं, बट आई एम रियली ग्लैड कि आज मुझे ये पता चल रहा है कि CXO एक बहुत बड़ी फैमिली बन चुकी है. और मुझे सारे मेंबर्स जो हैं वो मुझे अपने रिलेटिव्स एंड भाई और बहनें ही लगते हैं. तो मैं समटाइम्स बहुत ज़्यादा एक्साइटेड हो जाता हूँ, और मैं अल्लाह ताला का बहुत बहुत शुक्रगुजार हूँ कि अल्लाह ताला ने मुझे एक ऐसा ब्लेस्ड जो है वो इस तरह एक अपॉर्चुनिटी प्रोवाइड की है जिससे जो है हम इंशाल्लाह एक बहुत बड़ा ग्लोबल थिंक टैंक बिल्ड करने में इंशाल्लाह कामयाब होंगे, जहाँ पे हम पूरी ये कोशिश करेंगे कि किस तरह पाकिस्तान को टेक्नोलॉजी साइड पे जो है वो आगे ले जाया जा सकता है, और रियल कंट्रीब्यूशन की तरफ इंशाल्लाह हम लोग जो है वो देख सकें. वो रियल आईटी कंपनीज जो कि वाकई इतना काम कर रही हैं, द बिग कंपनीज. और इंशाल्लाह आप अभी पूरे इन रेस्ट ऑफ द डेज जो है वो आप अभी बहुत अच्छा कंटेंट जो है, बहुत अच्छी डिस्कशंस, बहुत अच्छी प्रेजेंटेशंस आपको देखने को मिलेंगी. दीज वर माय फ्यू सेंट्स, और मैं अगेन सब लोगों का, तमाम स्टेक होल्डर्स का बहुत ज़्यादा शुक्रगुजार हूँ, और थैंक यू सो मच.
I must congratulate CXO for organizing a global forum on digitization, on artificial intelligence, on big data and analytics. I believe the world is changing. The world is changing faster than we think. The world needs the ability to analyze data. There is tremendous amount of data throughout the world, as well as in Pakistan. It is commonly said that data is the new oil, but for oil to be useful, it had to be out of the wells from underground and into tankers, but then finally into machines of internal combustion or other machines where oil was burnt and it was used. Similarly, when data is the new oil, data needs the ability of software, of human intelligence to be able to analyze that data. Data otherwise is useless. There's millions of bits of data, billions and trillions of bits of data which is existing, and unless it comes into comprehension, unless it comes to at the level of analytics, it is useless. So therefore, the world needs capabilities of analyzing this data through neural networks, for example, through artificial intelligence. And the highways of this data to move, of course, is the cloud, is the broadband connectivity throughout the world as well as in Pakistan. And I think countries like Pakistan, for example, which have tremendous talent and which have a youth bulge, they can service the needs of the world, they can service the needs of Pakistan, and they can service the needs of the world. There's a lot of hope with artificial intelligence and the new tools that can be in science, that can be in pharmacology, that can be in drug creation, that can be in medicine to improve the health, that can be in robotics, that can be in artificial limbs, that can be improving health and longevity of man itself, and also that can help in analyze global warming and to be able to understand what is happening throughout the world. We may be going into a situation where the world is coming to a very dangerous level of carbon dioxide emissions. So the more the information, the more the digitization of communication as well as of the decision makers, like the governments, like the corporates and companies, the more we get involved in being able to analyze the data through different softwares, to different abilities, the more we will be able to provide service to Pakistan itself and to mankind and to the global community. So congratulations for organizing this CXO Global Digital Summit, and I'm sure we'll be looking forward to your deliberations, and we invite a lot of people to Pakistan to invest in education and IT education and IT products. Thank you very much.
Support we are getting, the kind of हम जहाँ पे खड़े हैं, मैं शायद 5 साल बाद यहाँ पे ये प्लान कर रहा था कि हम यहाँ पे खड़े होंगे, बट द थिंग इज बिकॉज गैप बहुत ज्यादा बड़ा था. हम हमेशा इंडस्ट्री रिकग्निशन और इन चीज़ों पे बात करते हैं कि हमारे पाकिस्तान में वो अनटैप्ड इंडस्ट्रीज हैं जो कि ग्रो कर रही हैं, बट उनको जो राइट प्रोजेक्शन है वो मिलनी चाहिए. हमारे ये भी एक बहुत बड़ा फोकस है. मैं फर्स्ट टाइम किसी कॉन्फ्रेंस में आकर डायरेक्टली बात कर रहा हूँ, तो मेरी ये कोशिश होती है कि दूसरों को मौका मिले. मैं हमेशा एम्पावरमेंट के ऊपर जो है वो तरजीह देता हूँ, और इसी वजह से हमने ये फोरम बिल्ड किया था कि दूसरों को मौका मिले, दूसरे आके बात करें, ना कि ये कि हम लोग जो है वो चुने हुए चंद लोग जो है वो हमेशा आके जो है वो स्टेक होल्डिंग की बात करते हैं. बट मैं ये समझता हूँ कि हर किसी के पास ये राइट है. हमें नए आने वाले टैलेंट को, नए स्टार्टअप्स को भी आप इंशाल्लाह आजकल और ये 4-5 दिन में आप देखेंगे कि बहुत सारे ऐसे स्टार्टअप्स हैं जिनको ये प्रोजेक्शन मिलेगी, जिनको ये अपॉर्चुनिटी मिलेगी कि वो आके अपने केस स्टडीज एंड लॉन्च पैड्स को यहाँ पे प्रेजेंट कर सकें. और मेरे ख्याल में हमारे लिए ये सबसे बड़ी एक जीत है जो मैं ये समझूंगा कि हम एक बहुत बड़ी कंट्रीब्यूशन कर सकें और उसमें कामयाब हुए हैं. और मैं इस बात पे भी शुक्रिया अदा करूंगा कि गवर्नमेंट ऑफ पाकिस्तान ने इस बात में मुझे बहुत सपोर्ट किया. हमने इस इवेंट को एक सक्सेसफुल इवेंट बनाया, मिनिस्ट्री ऑफ आईटी से लेके और प्रेसिडेंट ऑफ पाकिस्तान से लेके मिनिस्ट्री ऑफ फॉरेन अफेयर्स एंड द स्पेशल टेक्नोलॉजी जोन अथॉरिटी. हमारे आमिर हाशमी साहब जो हैं उन्होंने अपना टाइम निकाला, अब्दुल रहीम साहब ने अपना टाइम निकाला, और उन्होंने अभी پریویسلی ایک بہت امیزنگ ایک سیشن جو ہے وہ کنڈکٹ کیا. سملرلی اسپیشل ٹیکنالوجی زون اتھارٹی جس طرح کہ ایک ہمارے ڈیجیٹل اکانومی کے اندر جو ہے وہ کنٹریبیوٹ کر رہے ہیں کہ ایک ایسا اسپیس بنا رہے ہیں جس میں نئے آنے والے لوگ گلوبل انڈسٹریز اور لوکل آئی ٹی کمپنیز جو ہے وہ ایک جگہ پہ ڈیولپ ہو کے اپنے بزنسز کو جو ہے وہ گرو کر سکیں گے. تو میں سب کا شکر گزار ہوں, اسپیشلی سیل سافٹ نے جنہوں نے ہمیں اسپانسر کیا اس ایونٹ کے لیے, ان باکس ٹیکنالوجیز نے اور باقی اسپانسرز نے. میں ون بائی ون شاید اتنے زیادہ نام نہ لے سکوں, بٹ آئی ایم ریئلی تھینکفل ٹو آل دا اسپانسرز اینڈ دا گریٹ سپورٹ وی ہیو گاٹ. تمام پینلسٹ سے اتنی بڑا ایک نمبر ہے جن کا میں ون بائی ون شاید شکریہ ادا نہ کر سکوں, بٹ آئی ایم ریئلی گلیڈ کہ آج مجھے یہ پتہ چل رہا ہے کہ CXO ایک بہت بڑی فیملی بن چکی ہے, اور مجھے سارے ممبرز جو ہیں وہ مجھے اپنے ریلیٹیوز اینڈ بھائی اور بہنیں ہی لگتے ہیں. تو میں سم ٹائمز بہت زیادہ ایکسائٹیڈ ہو جاتا ہوں, اور میں اللہ تعالیٰ کا بہت بہت شکر گزار ہوں کہ اللہ تعالیٰ نے مجھے ایک ایسا بلیسڈ جو ہے وہ اس طرح ایک اپرچونٹی پرووائڈ کی ہے جس سے جو ہے ہم انشاءاللہ ایک بہت بڑا گلوبل تھنک ٹینک بلڈ کرنے میں انشاءاللہ کامیاب ہوں گے, جہاں پہ ہم پوری یہ کوشش کریں گے کہ کس طرح پاکستان کو ٹیکنالوجی سائڈ پہ جو ہے وہ آگے لے جایا جا سکتا ہے, اور ریئل کنٹریبیوشن کی طرف انشاءاللہ ہم لوگ جو ہے وہ دیکھ سکیں. وہ ریئل آئی ٹی کمپنیز جو کہ واقعی اتنا کام کر رہی ہیں, بگ کمپنیز, اور انشاءاللہ آپ ابھی پورے ریسٹ آف دا ڈیز جو ہے وہ آپ ابھی بہت اچھا کانٹینٹ جو ہے, بہت اچھی ڈسکشنز, بہت اچھی پریزنٹیشنز آپ کو دیکھنے کو ملیں گی. دیز ور مائی فیو سینٹس, اور میں اگین سب لوگوں کا, تمام اسٹیک ہولڈرس کا بہت زیادہ شکر گزار ہوں, اور تھینک یو سو مچ.
Assalamu alaikum. Everyone is requested to join the next session, which is going to begin at 2 p.m. Thank you.